Hey, in this video, we're going to discuss the importance of small HOAs, holding meetings, and documenting, taking minutes, and having that. So we manage properties in DC. We handle a lot of smaller HOAs. We focus on, under 50 units. We have a lot of 4-unit buildings, all the way up to 50-unit buildings, right? But it's interesting because in the smaller buildings, everybody lives there, everybody knows each other, and sometimes we forget how important it is to still have these meetings and also document them, right? We see each other in the hall, maybe we do the yard work together, and there's conversations we're having and we're making decisions. The problem with that is it can be questions. There's a lot of he said, she said. There can be side agreements made. And so we want to make sure that even in these small buildings, we're being very responsible about following the bylaws and doing what we're supposed to do as board members. And so when you buy a unit in one of these buildings and it's a small building, it's 4 unit, you don't realize all the stuff you need to do. But you're running this small little HOA business, and there's certain things you need to do based on the bylaws. It's very important that you have that meeting. It's very important that you document that meeting. It's very important that you provide proper notice for that meeting. All those things that seem like a little bit extra because it's only 4 of us or 6 of us or 10 of us. It's really, really still important to follow the bylaws just because you want to make sure that we do everything correctly, because in 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road, we want to make sure we have documentation of why this was done and that was done, especially when we're talking about maybe roofs that need to be replaced in a few years and decisions being spent there. And so all this kind of comes to say in a small building, it even matters as far as how we handle everything from how the building was when the building was bought to how board members were picked, all the way through decisions being made. I actually was looking at some bylaws this morning for a 6-unit building that we just took over. And the bylaws state that there's 6 members required to be on the board. And so you think about that, every single owner is now a board member. What if there's a board member that owns two? What if there's an owner that owns 2 properties in the building, or an owner that rents the unit? And so we need to look at these bylaws, especially in these small buildings. The bylaws sometimes are pretty boilerplate. A lot of times what we see, they state typically from declarant to establishing the board at the first annual meeting, that kind of stuff, for maybe 3 board members with the declarant, all the way through once that first annual meeting happens, of what percent of owners need to be on the board. And so I was looking through a few of them. And again, in a 4-unit building, some said 3, one said to be determined by the owners. One stated 6 in a 6-unit building, but most of them are from 3 to 4 members is typically what I saw. But I was kind of intrigued to see 6 on that new one. So you want to make sure you're following your bylaws. And I know for a lot of people that are buying condos in the city, they're not realizing that they actually have an HOA they got to work with. We have a building we brought on a few years ago that had come from as a brand new build. The developer, the declarant, the person that was putting it together, once he sold, I think it was this was 25%. He had to add one owner to his board, and then once it got either a year or 75% were sold, we had to turn it over. He had to turn it over to the board, right? And he removed himself. But these guys had no idea. They just bought a condo, nice area, and just thought that they were homeowners and all this stuff. So they were really kind of taken aback about their responsibility as now homeowners of a condo unit in DC and what that requires. And so we now manage that 6-unit building. We help them with their finances, help them with their collection, help them with their payments of vendors, help them with managing vendors and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of times, a lot of people in DC don't realize what they're getting into when they actually buy a condo, especially in these smaller 4, 6, 12, even up to 24. It can still be 1/4 of people are on that board. And so I know this video was all about the importance of documenting and the importance of having annual meetings and making sure you're documenting it and making sure stuff's being agreed on correctly. But this video probably now is more about when you buy in DC into a condo, what the expectation is from that board, and the chance that you need to be a part of that board and help manage that building is something I don't think a lot of people think about. So if you have any questions about HOAs in DC, let us know. We manage, like I said, small buildings, 4 to about 50. Our thought there is you don't get lost with all these big companies that manage, 2, 3, 4, 500 door buildings. Again, we focus on small stuff. We have a pretty set price, $50 a door typically. We can do just accounting for you. We can do accounting and maintenance, or we can do full service. Most of our clients choose full service, even on these smaller buildings, just because we help them put everything together to make sure that the meetings are happening, to make sure the budget's being followed, and help guide them. Important to have those meetings, document those meetings, but then have somebody that can help you and behind the scenes kind of make sure everything happens. And then we report back to you so you can make sure everything's done and continue with your job, your family, all that kind of stuff you have. So anyways, again, it's important to document your meetings. It's important to hold the meetings. It's important to provide proper notice for these meetings. But check your bylaws. The bylaws kind of walk you through it. Some stuff in there can be vague, but most of it's found in there. And then some things, say it's a 6-unit building and it says you need 6 board members. that might be a very important thing when you first have one of your meetings to look at adjusting those bylaws. But again, check your bylaws on how to do that correctly. So the bylaws are the guiding the government documents that do everything for you. Just make sure we follow these, and then we're doing our job handling our fiduciary responsibility for the HOA and for everybody in there. So again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please let us know.